Welcome to the Environmental Leadership Chronicles, a podcast brought to you by the California Association of Environmental Professionals. In this episode, we feature Xela Brainin Godinez, a student at CSU Channel Islands studying environmental science and resource management with a marine and coastal emphasis. Having served as an AEP Student Council Member and participant on the People and Culture Committee, Xela brings a fresh perspective on entering the environmental profession. From hands-on conservation work with white abalone at the Aquarium of the Pacific to presenting before California's Lieutenant Governor about the Santa Rosa Island Research Station, Xela has already made meaningful contributions to the marine science and student outreach communities. Her journey from studying horticulture at Long Beach City College to specializing in marine and coastal science reflects both personal growth and an evolving passion for environmental stewardship. As an advocate for diversity in environmental spaces, Xela is passionate about expanding representation in our profession. Join us as she shares her experience working alongside seasoned professionals on AEP's People and Culture Committee, what draws her to marine conservation, and what gives her hope as she prepares to launch her career. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoy. Hi, I'm Jessa, and today we are joined by Xela Brainin. Oh my gosh, I already messed up. I'm so sorry. Brainin Godinez, a student and developing conservation biologist. Thank you so much for joining us, Xela. I appreciate it.
All right. Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for
Yeah,
having me.
thank you. Yeah, of course. Happy to. So, how are you connected to AEP?
So, my current standing with AEP is as a student member, and this past year, I held a seat on the People and Culture Committee, previously the DEI committee, where I was just working with Mindy and Chief on I don't know if you can see the sun coming in
I
right now.
can. It's beautiful. It's like just
Oh my
for
gosh.
those listening, it looked like an angel with a halo. It's like
As soon as we started recording, I'm like, okay,
I love it.
the universe is here with us. But yeah, it that was my involvement, just like within the committee, working on establishing the affinity groups and like the first meetups for the early career affinity groups specifically. But I had initially heard of AEP when I applied for their scholarship, like the LA County chapters scholarship they have for, I think it might just be community college students, but actually I refrain because other people not in community college were there. It was like community college, undergrad, graduate, and possibly doctorate. Just where they were like sponsoring students, and I had applied and received the scholarship, which was really awesome to just like
Congratulations.
thank you. Just like getting my feet off the ground, going from community college to transferring to CSU Channel Islands where I am now. So that's where I like initially heard of AEP. And then I had just like received an email and they were like, "Oh, would you like to um like apply to be like a student on the committee? Like we think you'd be like a great fit for it." And that's how I got established with that whole journey. So,
That's amazing. Just jumping right in. I love
yeah.
it. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. We love our student member. We love all of our members equally, but that includes student members.
Something special about a student. What can I
Yes,
say?
yes. Yay. Well, I love it. And congratulations on the scholarship. That's
Thank
amazing.
you.
And
Yeah.
so as a student early, you're early in your career, what first sparked your interest in environmental work and how has that changed as you've been going through your
Mm.
coursework and your career to this point?
Yeah. So there's actually been a lot of change in terms of like my specific interests within the environmental field. Initially, so I went to community college in Long Beach, and I chose Long Beach specifically, although I was living in North Hollywood at the time, because they have a really nice horticulture program. I like had dropped out of high school during COVID and didn't really know what direction like my academics were going to go in. Like just as a child, even before then, like I wasn't very like connected to, oh no, I don't know. My camera froze, but it's okay.
You're good. We got the audio.
Awesome, perfect. The audio, the visual doesn't matter, the audio does. But yeah, I just never really connected with like my academics before then in a way where I saw like a long-term goal. Even though I had passions, it was difficult for me to translate that into like, oh, I'm pursuing this career from the early age of 9 years old in elementary school. Like it was just very difficult for me to come from that perspective. But I got interested in horticulture because I was working as a camp counselor at a Jewish camp that I had been going to for many years. And I was a garden specialist there and like working in youth programming and just like teaching kids about like things I knew about the environment, being like passionate about that, and just like gardening. And we worked a lot with like hydroponic towers, that kind of thing led me to be like, oh, I think I actually do want to pursue higher education, and I think that's in horticulture. So that's what led me to Long Beach City College. And then during that coursework in my first year, I took a wildlife biology class. And that's kind of what shifted me from horticulture to like, oh, I actually don't just want an associate's, I want a bachelor's, and I want it to be in conservation biology, working in the environment, and just continue like rediscovering this lifelong passion that I had always had for conservation. But it had kind of just gotten lost along the way, or I had forgotten that like, oh, I can actually like pursue this seriously. Um, so there was like that huge big shift from like, oh, I actually am not gonna stay here at Long Beach, not gonna get my associates. I'm gonna transfer. And yeah, that's where I ended up here at Channel Islands, and I'm in the environmental science and resource management major. And this department has been absolutely fabulous. It's like it brings a lot of hands-on opportunities of just like being able to visit the Channel Islands, and our school is blessed to have a research center on one of the Channel Islands, Santa Rosa, and just even getting that opportunity to be like, okay, class, like we're going to this Channel Island and you're gonna get to see like real life natural history, or there's great conservation stories and success on the islands in general. So seeing that play out really just like continue to influence me like, oh, I'm headed in the right direction because this feels really good and I'm loving what I'm learning. So yeah, that's what kind of led me to a an academic career in the sciences. But growing up, I had always had a passion for conservation. Like this, the media I took in was a lot of like Crap Brothers, David Attenborough. I grew up going to the LA Zoo's day camps like for 13 years, just like in that space of like learning about animals and just wanting to tell people about all these amazing creatures and stuff like that. So I had always just like had this love, like it's never been separate from me, but the connection of this passion and seeing like, okay, how can I work with animals? There was like a big gap where it was just like lost. And then luckily I reconnected with it, which was just such a blessing because it has led me here. So,
Yay. That's
yeah.
an amazing story. I think it's really interesting to hear how you said like that you've always had this passion like rooted in you, but then going, to Long Beach City College and learning more and getting exposure to these other fields and courses, you learn, oh, I can study this. I don't, it's not like you take those trips from the zoo or the camps at the zoo to something that you can study and pursue a
Mhm.
career in, and you get all this exposure through academics to possibilities.
Yeah.
And then I think too, getting to do the hands-on like programming at the Channel Islands is like an incredible opportunity and experience,
Mhm.
I'm sure. And just getting to see firsthand, like, oh, this is what it's like to do conservation work. This is what it's like
Yeah.
to study biology is sounds really impactful.
Yeah. And anytime I can like apply what we're learning during lecture or lab like out in the field, and as in the field just like being outside with it, like that's something I really liked during my geology classes at LBCC was we would go out to these day trips or weekend camping trips and just get to see like these geological formations in person. And that was the really special part. I was like, okay, seeing this on a slide deck is cool, and I admire all my professors for um taking the time to like teach us that stuff, like of course. But there's something so special about being able to see it. You just like make this mind body connection with the material. And I think that's why I've been able to hold on to some of this knowledge for so long, because like I'm able to apply it every time I go outside. Like, so Channel Islands in blessed Ventura County, love this place. I've actually never been to Ventura County before transferring here, but yeah, it's just so special, and I love my school because it's surrounded by mountains, and I always feel very connected to mountain scenery because it makes me just feel like a human being. I feel like, oh my God, this is what my ancestors and the indigenous communities of this land were looking at. Like they're just such like a hold fast. Like you can move a mountain, but it's gonna take a long time. And it took a lot of time geologically for these structures to form. And there's just so much beautiful like earth history in that. So when I look at the mountains that my school is surrounded by, I'm just like, wow, like how can I get the knowledge? Like my geology professors were like, they can just look at the mountain and be like, oh, right there is a fault line, like there's the fault, this is the kind of like formation right here, and like noticing like, oh, here's like the valley points, and remembering like, oh, this is how like valleys and canyons form. Like that hands-on experience outside is what continues to like re-solidify the knowledge. And a great like experience I had with that recently was I was visiting my sister in New Orleans. She goes to Tulane, and we and her friends, we were in this Uber ride on the way to the thrift store just to like have fun as people, as girls. And and the Uber driver, we struck conversation with him, and somehow I ended up talking about where I go to school. I'm like, oh, I'm visiting from California. I go to school in Channel Islands. And he was like, oh, I didn't even know California had islands. And I was like, yeah, they're actually really cool. And I just went on like this mini sum up of like some of the cool natural history of the islands, like, because I think he said something like, oh, yeah, when they broke off the mainland. And I was like, oh, actually, they formed underground long, long time ago, but they're from like the what's it called? It's not transatlantic, it's like it starts with the TRAS, like the
I
trans
wish
plate
I
or
could help.
something.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
it's okay. Someone will be able to help me. Um, but pretty much the plate that we're on, like the mountains of like the Santa Barbara Mountains, Santa Monica Mountains, I don't know. But pretty much they're sideways. They're not like in the same orientation as mountains typically. And that's the plate that the Channel Islands are off from. So just being able to like talk to this man about it, I was like, wait,
Yeah.
this is so awesome. He was like, you know so much about it. And I'm like, I just know this from one class I've taken, but the information sticks with you because like I've gotten the opportunity to visit and like see it in person, and that's been so important for me and like my learning style, because ultimately we want to learn and help the environment, and all of that is very important, but if we're not going out and connecting with it or seeing the spaces that our work is impacting, like you need that connection to really like touch the public and make sure that we're understanding the importance of like these actions that we want to make moving forward as a greater society, if I could be more broad. but um but yeah, it's just like beautiful to be able to connect with like nature, and that's what keeps me like passionate as a student. That's what's made me like, it's been such a 180 of just like really struggling to connect with my education, and now like continuing to like push myself through and just like having passion when it comes to academics. I'm just like, this is great. This is an awesome feeling. I wish I could have had it earlier, but it's been really great.
Yeah,
So,
I love that. It's so, I think all the things we're talking about, it's like you know, approach it with intention and mindfulness and are
mhm.
able that like hands-on learning experience and like looking at the mountain and like, leaving the classroom and looking right there. Oh, this is what we're talking about, what we're learning about is just such a huge like opportunity and for like where you're at in the region. And I think, credit to your professors too, to being able to connect the material directly to the
Mhm.
region you're in and to be able to have that impact with the students. And like you said, it's like one class you learned all this and then you're able to share the knowledge. I mean, with our listeners, Uber drivers, and I'm sure a lot of people in between that scale. I love it. And
For
I think
sure.
too that speaks, when you're passionate about something, you want to talk about it, you want to share it, and you want to share that knowledge, and that really comes through and what you're sharing here too. So I love it. It's inspiring.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I feel really like pumped up. I actually have my class after this recording, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go there with a smile on my face.
Yay! Yay! And so earlier you were mentioning you were connected with AEP through the scholarship program,
hmm
and then reached out to be a student on the committee for the People and Culture Committee. So what was that like? So transitioning from, being a student in the classroom to these statewide Zoom calls with professionals from all across California talking about, people and culture within the environmental profession. Like, how
Yeah.
did you like navigate the shift in communication styles, expectations? Like,
Mm.
just tell us about your experience.
I think for me, part of it was like when you're saying like statewide like committee calls and it sounds very serious, but when I was in it and even joining, like it never felt super like do or die, like we're in the room where it's happening right now. Like it definitely felt professional and important, and it is important, but I don't know why it always just had such a casual tone to it, which I think is good for students, or at least it was a realization I had because it made like the professional setting seem less intimidating and scary. I was like, wait, these are just like people trying to figure something out for like a greater organization of like, okay, how can we improve? What can we implement to move forward? And like within that, there's trials and errors. Like there's certain projects that their feet get off the ground and are successful, and there's some that need more time to um to develop and like seeing, okay, this is where the organization is at and this is what we're able to support at the time. So while it was definitely very professional, I never felt like, oh, you must speak super properly. And part of that was um just seeing everyone be themselves. And I think that was super important for a people and culture committee because you're wanting to bring that out within the organization, just by connecting people to themselves and like having their identity not be super like work centered. And specifically, what I'm referencing to is like the affinity groups when we were, I was working really closely with Mindy and Chief on the establishment of the affinity groups and deciding, okay, we have like three broader like groups, which one is going to be like promoted first pretty much. And that was the developing professionals, or like the young career affinity group. And yeah, I'm kind of losing my train of thought. But anyways,
All right,
that was
fine.
super important. Oh, I caught it again. It was super important because we would have these young professionals or people in different early stages of their career pretty much come into these meetups over Zoom. And Chief's big goal was pretty much to like get people to talk about themselves. Like what connects us all is our shared humanity. And that doesn't necessarily stem from where we're deciding to work, our 9 to 5, or our job that's providing us financial security. It comes from our interests and hobbies and our passions, and more specifically, our stories and our shared experiences. That's what helps bridge people of multiple identities together to create like harmony, not only within the organization, but locally and worldwide, hopefully. Um, but that was like a huge challenge, just getting people to like separate their identity from their work. And while it's beautiful for people to care about what they do, like I myself am passionate personally about what I'm hoping to pursue. But there's parts of me that like are of course connected to this, but I am more than just whatever job I end up with post grad or in the future, you know? So that was super beautiful to be able to like kind of crack people's shell in the in the meetups and just like kind of get at people's humanity and see them connect and like, okay, where is everyone like feeling in your early quote unquote early career, you know, like what are some shared challenges, how can we support each other, and it just creates a really great network where people can realize, wait, like we're all kind of in this together, it's
Yes, yes.
okay, I can like reach out a hand and support, and like getting to facilitate that was really beautiful because you just see people like, oh, like I know this person from this organization, or like, have you checked it out, this or that. Like, it was just really great seeing people like connect, but it never felt super serious in terms of like I was behind the Zoom wearing a suit kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Very
never felt like,
welcoming group.
yeah, and I really appreciated that. Like, I never felt like as a student, I had to perform a certain way, which I definitely, it's not something fed to us, but I think it's an expectation that is like kind of pushed in a way, at least in terms of like, I don't know, when people are growing up, you feel like, in my head, when I looked at adults, I thought like they lost a part of themselves, like
Mm-hmm.
compared to like childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, as I'm growing up, like I know that I don't want to lose parts of myself that may label me not childish, childlike, but like I don't want to lose my happiness as
Yeah.
I age and go through life. And there's this whole idea of like your peak. Like when I was working with teenagers, they'd be like, "Shella, how does it feel like you've reached your peak?" I'm like, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like every age I'm at is my
Haven't
peak.
even begun to peak.
I'm like talking to these 15-year-olds. I'm like, guys, peaking? What are you
Yeah.
talking about? Like, I don't know. And I think like they're so silly.
Yeah.
But something so special about like being able to interact with the committee was like just being able to be me and seeing how like receiving affirmation that that was like welcomed in the space was really great because I it's interesting my own relationship with like receiving praise and affirmation from others. Like as a child, I think I really wanted that, like to be affirmed and like you're doing great, all of this. But as I receive it, I'm actually noticing I have a lot of issue like accepting it fully and being like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, I am worthy of this," or "I am worthy of the acceptance of this recognition." It feels like, "Oh, if you accept it, you're like stuck up or like suddenly it becomes not true because you're like looking back at it, you're kind of like gaining awareness of like what you're doing, which feels really weird. But that's something I need to continue to just like heal within myself. But it was
They're
just really
getting into the
great.
deep work there.
No, yeah, that's like a lifelong, I shall
Yeah.
continue to nurture that.
Yes, yes.
But it was just great being able to like be myself and being young and in these spaces. And I think in the early career affinity group specifically, having like being surrounded by these also like people in their early career or like young folk just exiting undergrad, um just being able to be like, oh, like here I am, someone like you, and like we can connect and like be in this space together. And like I'm really glad that I can be unapologetically myself, and like I don't really feel a need to like hide parts of me away. And it's interesting. I don't know why this is coming to mind right now, but like when I get dressed to go to class, like I am a person that loves fashion and just like making sure I feel good in what I'm wearing and like taking pride in my personal style. But when I entered these like my classrooms or like sometimes I feel like, oh, am I like doing too much, whatever, like I don't feel like I'm doing too much. I'm just being me,
You're not.
but it's
Yeah.
great that I can just like be me and hopefully be surrounded by people that also feel like they can just be themselves.
Yes.
So I think that like that is so important because like so much of what I view as the professional world, people lose themselves, or like I've definitely been told like, oh, like you won't do well in this sector because like you're too sensitive or like you're too emotional. And
Mm.
I think those comments are really strange. Like this whole idea of you can't have emotion in business. I've always like had strong questioning to that phrase or just like that idea because and I think that's where the cultural humility of the People in Culture Committee, like the work that Chief has been doing with AEP, is super important because it asks us to connect with ourselves and like almost to gain emotional intelligence in the work setting because like why would I want to work in a toxic space? Like
Yeah.
where people are reacting like negatively, like it just in a very like emotionally reactive state, like that's contradictive. Like we can't possibly aim to make greater change when there's still like dysfunction in these groups, you know?
Yeah, I
So,
think what you're saying is really well, first of all, it's like so great to hear that, like your experience and, being able to show up as your whole self and feeling welcomed. And, because I've shown up in some of these AAP meetings, I was like, oh my gosh, you're all so smart and intelligent and credentialed. And I'm just here doing a podcast, and not to minimize the podcast. I love the podcast, but I can understand like that sense of coming in and, kind of expecting a level of like feeling intimidated, and then it just goes away once everything gets started. Everyone, like you said, it's like they want to collaborate, they want to work together, make people feel welcomed. And what you're talking about, I think is something I've learned a lot in the business and like the workspace is, showing up as your whole self, because you you don't end like who you are in your personal life at 9 and like a.m. when you start your job, or 8 a.m. and same like 5 p.m., 6 p.m., whatever. It's like you don't just immediately shut off the business side. It's like we're a whole person. Like people have, family like dynamics they're dealing with, their health
mhm, mhm.
issues, people are sick, they didn't get a good night's sleep. And like, I want to be a safe space to just be like, yeah, I didn't sleep at all last night. I'm tired. I'm cranky. I'm sorry. Like, I'm going to get through it. And, or, just things like, I need a day off. Like, I need a break. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just a little burned out. And that being okay, and not being it viewed as you're unprofessional or you're
Mhm,
unprepared. And, knowing when it's, know what's important. And like, that comes with time, like, as far as priorities at work. And, you learn like when you need to show up and when you're like, okay, I can slow down a little bit. But having people around you that you have a psychological safety to be able
mm,
to speak about, who you are and what you're going through, and, what hobbies you like to do, and just being accepted and just being like, oh, and, it's sad to hear. It's like,
mm.
someone's like, oh, you're too sensitive. And it's like, well, that's what makes me good at these things that you probably are not as good at that. Like there's value in all of our, like you said, like all of our backgrounds and like who we are as humans. And,
Mhm.
being able to bring that into whatever setting you're in is like, it's such a comfortable place and rewarding to be able to do that.
Yeah, you hit on some really great points. And I just think of like the great management I've gotten the opportunity to be under in my life. Like, I just love when my boss can be like, guys, like, I myself am not feeling it. Y'all have an early day. Like,
Yeah,
goodbye.
yeah. Yeah, there's days
Like,
like that. Like we all have those days. Like let's just call it what it is and come back refreshed and,
yeah.
like, yeah, anyway, sorry to cut you off.
No, 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 it's all good. But yeah, it's just I love when people can be real.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a robot, sorry.
We're all going to be robots soon. Oh my gosh, but that's for
Yeah.
another topic. So, where you're at with like your education and as you're getting ready to enter the environmental job market. So what feels exciting to you, or maybe some uncertainties like that you might be feeling as you're making that transition?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it's quite the transition approaching me. So I decided to do 4 years or 5 years of undergrad instead of four. So thankfully I have 1 whole year left. I could not imagine graduating in the spring. Like props out to those who are. I just personally am not ready, and I'm someone who benefits from having more time to establish myself somewhere and like pick out the opportunities that are available to me and stuff. So I already knew when I was transferring, I was going to take longer in my undergrad, and I'm still really happy with that decision. I love that I have more time to be a student.
Hmm.
But entering with prospects of entering the job market, like I do really like I am super excited to like start working. And for me, like last spring, I remember I could just like list everything I wanted to do in terms of like my life, like different jobs. Like, okay, I'm really interested in wildlife conservation, but I'm also super interested in geology and outreach and land management issues and all these things. And while there's definitely a time and place where I know all these interests will come into play and have their time to shine, and like the more experience I gain, like the more solidified they'll be. Something I've done this fall is really honed in on like, okay, what specifically do you want to do when you graduate? Like I need a little more of a plan with myself to be like, okay, this is specifically we're what we are working for. We as in I, myself. And this is how you can accomplish that. Like these are like the networks that you need to like tap into.
Hmm.
This is kind of like the experience, like internship wise, or like um undergraduate research that you need to like get a hold in. So my goal right now is to enter conservation work in um aquariums and zoos and museums, specifically AZA accredited institutions, which is I think it's American or Association of Zoos and Aquariums. Yeah, not
Mm,
it's not limited to America.
cool. Well,
Um,
the bat signals out on the podcast. So,
but yeah, that specifically is what I'm looking to get into after I graduate. And currently I'm achieving that through my capstone is giving me a really blessed head start in that. I'm working with Aquarium of the Pacific, working on developing a care manual that so the AZA, super awesome institution, but they have care manuals that are published for animals so that all institutions under an AZA or AZA certificate can be on the same page of how they're going to care for this animal for its continued success. Usually it's like endangered animals or animals that need more like in-house breeding programs, like to make sure they're on the right track. Um, but super awesome. These care manuals, they're free to the public, so you can just look up AZA care manuals if you want to give it a look-see. They have for mammals, invertebrates, reptiles, and birds. But there's only like a few for invertebrates, and so I'm working on white abalone.
oh,
And that,
cool.
yeah, so for people who don't know what an abalone is, because I didn't really know like 3 years ago what an abalone was. It's a marine snail that pretty much, unlike garden snails or other types of snails where the shell is like a smaller percentage of like the body mass, like garden snails you see their muscly foot and then the shell lays right on top of them. Abalone are special because their whole foot takes up the circumference of the shell. So it makes it a really great food source for not only animals, but historically indigenous communities. And there's a huge market for abalone now, um, like for the past, I mean, like the 1960s. I might be wrong on the numbers, but that's when people really started fishing abalone commercially. But abalone are super special. They're just like they're great little creatures. They have little like snail faces. They're just adorable. But it's their mass fishing that has led them to what's it called? they pretty much can't reproduce on their own in the wild because
Oh,
yeah, because they're broadcast spawners, which mean they just let out their gametes into the water. So sperm and eggs, they just let them out into the water and hopefully in an ideal situation, there's a high enough density of abalone near each other that the gametes can find each other in the water current and then just like get fertilized that way. But when the population density is low, as we're seeing now, they're just not able to find each other and successfully reproduce. So that's where the conservation work and not only Aquarium of the Pacific, but a bunch of other marine institutes and aquariums and partners are working on just breeding them in captivity so that they can outplant them into the wild. So the the place that this care manual has is to make sure that all AZA accredited institutions that want to participate in abalone care and conservation are following the same standard of care. Like that we're all on the same page of like, okay, this is what we're all doing so that
yeah.
these animals can, you know, make it back into the wild and
Yeah.
like just continue to grow their population, which is super beautiful. But that's like something I'm doing to establish myself within the animal care world and like conservation within like a really big aquarium. I'm like so lucky to be in this project and working with amazing people like the director of conservation at Aquarium of the Pacific, Johanna. She's super amazing and just like makes me super excited to like really get out there and continue to do this work. But the care manual, that itself is super cool just knowing that like whenever that is published, like my name will be on it. Like that's super special.
Yeah,
And
that's an
like
amazing capstone
yeah,
project. That's incredible. I
yeah.
like, yeah, like that's gonna have like real impact. That's so cool.
Yeah. So I'm thankful that I'm able to like continue to make small progress towards like ultimately my goal of like doing this work. And I'm just gonna keep doing what I can to like gain experience and and to see where it takes me. I know that like no matter what career I take immediately after undergrad, I hope it can last as long as it's universally meant to, like as much as it's meant to play a role in my life. Um, but I'm excited to try out many endeavors and just see where life takes me and where I can take my life, you know. So,
Well, I have no doubt that you'll find success wherever you go, wherever you end up. It'll be accept the praise. You'll do great. I love your passion and drive. It's
thank you.
contagious. So I want you, I know you have a class after this, so we can go ahead and wrap up so you can get on to saving the white abalone. Um,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you. So for our wrap up rapid five, what is your favorite daily habit?
My favorite daily habit is to actually look at trees. I really like the way light from the sun glistens off of leaves. Super odd, but like I really enjoy it. Just like sitting in a patch of sun and looking at the trees.
That
Like
sounds so peaceful. I love that. What are three things you would bring to a deserted island?
so when I was thinking, like as I'm thinking about it, and when I was thinking about this question, it's kind of like corny, but I don't care. I'm naturally a corny person. It would have to be, my two cats and my boyfriend. I think just like we would make the best of the deserted island. Like the cats, go do the hunting. We're gonna go do some fishing. Like we'll make it work.
I love, that's great. What's your favorite environmental policy?
Mm. I love anything to do with access to water, like just getting people the resources that they need to live. So, any act that brings people clean water, love. Keep it up. We need it,
Yeah,
please.
we all need it. Favorite flora or fauna?
I really love birds, like super. I'll never not love a bird. Specifically, I love the California condor. I love
Oh,
that vulture. Please, I need
yeah.
to. I've only seen them in captivity, in person. So I really, it's not even bucket list because I know it's gonna happen. Like I need to see one out soaring above me in the wild, and I know that
Oh,
will come true one day.
I've seen a few in Big Sur, so just keep heading up the
Wow.
coast a little bit, and I've But every bird I saw, I'm like, is that a condor? Is that a condor? And then I saw one. I was like, oh, that's a condor.
That's a condor. Yeah. I mean, turkey vultures are cool. We have them here in Camarillo, but nothing like a
Yeah.
condor. I'm hooked on that bird. There's just something about it.
Yeah, they're big.
Huge.
Yeah. Okay, so finish this sentence. Wouldn't it be cool if?
Wouldn't it be cool if we could all talk to animals? Yeah.
Ooh, I
It
like
would be super
that.
cool. Come on, we'd be able to talk to condors. It goes
Yes,
back.
yes. Could tell my dog to stop barking during the podcast. I love it.
You'd be able to know what your dog is saying.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's
As
terrifying.
I always want, like as a kid, when I would play pretend, like I wanted to either be able to turn into an animal or like speak to animals. So that would be super awesome. But I think like insects would be really loud. Like, you know, when like
Oh,
there's a fly in
yeah.
the room, like please, like I don't want to hear you right now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Maybe some boundaries with that. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Shell. I really appreciate it. This was so fun. It was so encouraging to hear from you, and
Oh, thank you.
I really appreciate you taking the time to join us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is like has been such a wonderful experience, and I'm really so grateful for AEP and like all the opportunities it's brought my way. So I'm just, wishing for the continued success of the organization and the people within it. So thank you so much.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to be updated when new episodes are released and leave us a review to let us know what you think. It also really helps us to share the podcast with others who may enjoy learning about the environmental industry. If you want to submit a shout out or any feedback, please send an email or voice memo to podcast@califaep.org. The email again is podcast with an S, podcast@califaep.org.